you can only fight against the market so much, right? Like even when we talk about the ETH price of block versus the um, fiat price of block, like if you were to look at the ETH price of block, we're actually doing pretty well. Like I can go look at that real quick. Um, like this is the Here we go. Like this is the fiat price of block over the last. Well, this was that big 19K dump from one person. But like if you were to look at like just on the outside edge of that, this is the fiat price of block since mid-June. But if you look at the Ethereum price of block since mid-June, like we're up. We're up a significant amount. That's unfortunately that's just we ride the market. We're paired against a volatile asset. If we were paired against USDC, obviously the fiat price would be the asset price. But because our backing is a volatile asset, we ride those waves in a macro down market. There's this distinct difference in our fiat price because Ethereum, unfortunately, since its peak is down 45%. Now people are like, are we back in a bear market? Hesitant to say if we're back in a bear market because we have seen several 30, 40 plus percent pullbacks in the middle of bull markets. So bear market, it's those sorts of numbers plus time, which will usually dictate, at least for crypto, what a bear market is. I know traditional markets, the numbers are a bit more black and white, but Triz, if you keep filling up the chat with gifts, my Discord's gonna slow down. So anyway, we're gonna talk about August, and we're gonna talk more broad strokes about the project overall and kind of what the status of things are and what we're waiting for. The waiting part is the key part that I think has been the most frustrating for Barry and I, but the most understandable from a business standpoint. And I'll talk about that in a second. I had to get a drink. So let's talk about August. As always, Ian does a great job with the graphics and the design of the report. And so we've been always kind of hovering around that 1 cent mark. In fact, I'm actually quite proud of the fact that as a community, as a group of investors, we've been patiently involved in the project. Very passive, like that was the idea, right? When we started, it was a passive project. You set your dynamic strategies and you just collected rewards, and your take profit was important, and everybody seems to be doing that. I think every time rewards trigger each day, it's about $100 in either take profit or farming compounding that results in sales, and that's every day. Just a little bit adding up every day, and that's people using the dynamic strategies to their advantage, which it's great to see, because what it does is it relieves the pressure of like big dumps. And I think that's one of the trademark results of our system is allowing people to automate their take profit has actually reduced the number of major investor sell-offs that affect the price long term. So while we haven't seen major growth from a token value standpoint, we haven't seen a massive depreciation either. And in a market like the one we're experiencing now, it's a net win for us to be where we are from that value standpoint. There's probably a dozen different examples you can come up with in DeFi where a token might be minus 50%, 60, 80, 90% from its either launch price or like its, I would say, average market price. And so to be where we are after a year and a half, despite everything that's gone on with the macro market, I'm actually quite proud of that holding up. But it is a testament to the community of investors that we have. You guys are patient. You have the same vision we do about what we're trying to build. You know, DeFi is a lot of vaporware, you know, where it's just zero sum game. And if somebody takes a piece of the pie, there's less pie for everybody else. And so for us doing what we're doing in Panama to actually have true revenue streams that are real capital injections, it's new money. It's slow, but it's going to be worth it um, given the ultimate outcomes. So we appreciate you guys being a part of it. So for the actual monthly report, you know, we talk about the macro market being bearish still. August and September historically, right, are quite bearish. The DeFi fund remains in that kind of pseudo altcoin holding strategy that we have. We do think that there is going to be another pretty significant alt season once we get through this summer doldrums. You know, like summer ends in September, we move into October, and I think that's when we're going to start seeing some real sustained growth. That's what she said. Uh, um, yeah, that's what I think we'll see some sustained growth in Ethereum and altcoins, and we'll see some significant fiat returns on those positions because we are holding them in a way that we won't realize the impermanent loss on the positions. And that's just taking the more long view of those specific strategies. Unfortunately, the ETH ETF hasn't delivered the results that a lot of people hoped would. Similar to Bitcoin's ETF, that seems to have been a unicorn event, and Ethereum did not follow suit in any aspect thus far. I think also the timing of it didn't help either. So Bitcoin's ETF launched in January, and January and February are traditionally very good months for the crypto market. And Ethereum's ETF launched at the end of July, and August and September are historically very terrible months for the market. So one could easily point to the timing of the launch of the ETF as a reason for its severe underperformance. Yeah, it gave us hope, and I'll admit, like I probably overweighted the ETF trading in my like thought process when it comes to price movement, not fully incorporating the consideration that, you know, the tide of the macro market of the year is going to impact it as much, if not more. And so far that has been the case. You know, it's been true. And so there is this like disappointment that the ETF has resulted in literally no value increase. In fact, if you were to just go from, what is it, July 23rd when the ETF launched, let me we can go from, sorry, excuse me. Come back. Where are we at? July 20, there we go. So the Ethereum ETF launched on July 23rd. July 23rd closed right around there. So the day closed at approximately 34.81. So since the Ethereum ETF has launched, Ethereum has lost 35% of its value. But what are you going to do? There's not much we can do about it from an individual project standpoint. You know, we continue to push through. But this is crypto. I mean, if you guys have been here for more than a couple years, you've experienced several of these moves, you know, whether it's, you know, drops 30% in a 2-month span or rises 40% in a 2-month span. You've been through this. So you have the experience. It's just as time goes on, you kind of get, you know, some fatigue, and one bad news event leads into another, and you can get kind of, you know, either desperate or tired of it or ready to just move on. And, you know, so you have those moments. So I always preach patience, you know, in moments like these, doing nothing is usually the best decision. if you have dry powder, a lot of people have dry powder. It's not the worst idea to start DCAing, ETH around 2200. I think long term is a good buy. Um, excuse me. Bitcoin around 50,000, 55,000. Probably long term is going to be a really good buy. But at the end of the day, if you're kind of tapped out and you're just kind of holding, the last thing you want to do is make a panic decision that's emotion based. So if you're in that position where you're uncertain of what to do, my recommendation is always just like be patient, do nothing. Nothing is probably the best decision you can make at that point, or sleep on it. I always tell people like sleep on it for a few days and reconsider. But we have a lot coming up in the next few months, right? So we have a lot of things coming up the next few months that have an impact on the market. So you have the U.S. election, you have rate cuts that are planned from the Fed. They're continually putting out inflation numbers, unemployment numbers. Like there's a lot of metrics that are being published on a monthly basis, plus the election and rate cuts that are all coming that will spur some sort of reaction from the market. We hope once they're resolved and the results are known, confidence will return and we'll see a green Q4. And that's the anticipation. 2200. It's at 2200 right now, buddy. Go look. You're going to be shocked. 2250, I should say. Where are we at? I don't think Block is getting pounded considering what the market's doing. Unless you mean, never mind. Yeah, I mean, me personally, if I'm looking at Block's ETH price versus what the market's doing, I think Block's holding up incredibly well. Like if we're going to be objective about it, like ETH has been in a distinct and consistent downtrend since March. So the fact that from March to now, ETH has lost 45% of its value. Block has lost, I think, 30% of its value. So we're at a net 15% difference from Ethereum. Like, I think it's holding up pretty well. So I'm not too worried about Block's like actual price. But at the end of the day, excuse me, the token price isn't nearly as important for us as the revenue, right? So the token price will be what it is. The revenue will come in used for buybacks and rewards, and that, of course, will create a buy pressure on the token. People will sell, people will cycle in, people will cycle out. The token price will be a byproduct of revenue stream. So for us, we focus on the revenue. So when it comes to the client side, that's the most important thing that we have to talk about. We're fully committed to the client side, and we are in a position now where we currently have 4 active client contracts. The issue is they haven't started yet. So I wanted to take time to discuss A, why, and B, kind of how we're managing it. So right now, all 4 of those contracts are people who are loosely connected in the same network. These are all very wealthy individuals who are in the Latin America area. And as the service provider, we are in a position where we have their business. It's committed to us. We have every assurance that business will be completed. It's just a matter of when. And in Latin America specifically, and in this industry, being perceived as desperate is a great way to lose business. So Barry and I are being very tactful about how we're managing the situation because, yes, we want to do this business. We want to do it now because we want to earn this revenue now, and we want to bring it back to the protocol, and we want to take care of you guys, and all of those things are true. However, if we were to say all of that honestly to these clients, because these clients don't have, like, they don't know that the protocol exists. Frankly, they don't care. They just want to use our service, but they're going to use the service on their time horizon, on the way they want to, because they're the client. And so we're in this delicate balance between continuing the relationship, maintaining the relationship, making sure we don't lose the business, but also not coming across desperate for their business, right? It's business gamesmanship, I would call it. Like, it's it's like if you like a girl, you pretend you don't like her to see if she, reacts to your laissez-faire approach to her. So we're kind of in this position now where we have this committed business to us, but because they are who they are, which they're wealthy, they're successful individuals, but they're not in a hurry. And so we're in the position now where it's like, okay, just keep oiling those relationships the way we have been. And we have assurances that we will complete those contracts in due time. And then at the same time, we explore other revenue opportunities. So there are businesses in Panama that have international clientele that a lot of them pay with crypto. There's other businesses in Panama that pay out in crypto, but they take US dollars in. So we have this on-ramp, off-ramp opportunity for more local, regional clients, among other things. We've talked about this a couple times before, but we are in a position where the 4 client contracts represent a mid to high 6 figures in potential revenue for BlockCentral. And I believe that amount of revenue is worth the wait. It's worth our wait. It's worth your guys' wait. It would be a huge opportunity. It's essentially, the amount of potential revenue is equal to the current market cap of the token. So when I say that it's worth the wait, in my opinion, that is worth waiting for. Is it going to come in this month or next month? We're still working on that. I know Barry and I are exploring going down there in person to see if we can't kick up things a little more quickly. Maybe just a show of seriousness that we're in country. But we also, again, don't want to come across desperate. So Call asked, are these the ones that are onboarding crypto or the ones that want to withdraw fiat? So these 4 client contracts specifically are fiat that are onboarding into crypto. And so they are in fiat and they're onboarding into crypto to invest on their own terms. So for us, it's just transaction fees. So we're not responsible for holding their capital. We're literally just a pass through and we're earning a fee from that. But the fee is large enough that the potential revenue, the capital and fee is large. They're large enough for the potential revenue to be, at this point, it's almost equal to the market cap of the token right now. So, and it's just these 4 contracts. The anticipation is, and what we've discussed before is, once we complete one of them, more dominoes will fall because they will tell their network, hey, we use this service recommended by them. They completed everything we wanted in 48 hours, 72 hours, so forth. Triz, it's not about liquidity. So we have a subcontractor for on-ramping and off-ramping that can do 8 or 9 figures. So it's just a matter of what the client needs. So for example, we have a OTC service that is in country that we work with, partnered with, and let's say they have a fee of like 2%, but the client's using our accounts, the client's using our service, and so we add 2% for our fee for our infrastructure and basically us completing the work for them. And so they would pay roughly 4 to 5% for this service. Basically, a white glove service of they send fiat, and within 48 hours they have everything minus the fee in their wallet. But we're not talking $10,000. We're talking $10 million. And so we're in a position where we have a partnership with an OTC service that can do 8 or 9 figures in one transaction if needed. Now, naturally, those are rare transactions, right? Most people, if they have money to on ramp in any large chunks, that's usually say 100,000 at a time or maybe 500,000 at a time. But there are the rare clients that have larger amounts, and so we have 4 of them. And so we're in the process now of checking in with them once or twice a week. Do you need anything? Is there anything we're following up on? Is there anything we can help you with? And then you say, have a good day. Because if we get to the point where we give them an ultimatum or we give them a deadline, anything like that, they're going to be like, well, this is weird that you're telling us when you need to get the work done when it's our money. So it is a precarious situation. So the best we can do is we pursue other revenue opportunities while these 4 contracts make their way through the decision-making process of being quote unquote ready. We continue to follow up with they're represented by a lawyer in Panama who interfaces with our wealth manager. Good. Again, everything's relationship based. So that's kind of where we are when we're going through this process. Are we going to get what we need from them clients? Yes. Yeah. We have contracts signed with all 4 of them. All the terms are agreed to. Because it's Latin America and everything's relationship based, everybody in the pipeline has a fee. That's pretty standard for that area. So everybody in the pipeline of completing the service is incentivized to get the job done. But again, the client is the one who initiates that process. So when the client is ready, that's when we get to work. I'll be honest with you, Barry and I made a joke out of it now because for almost 10 weeks now, we've been told next week for 10 weeks. And the first few times it was like, all right, well, that's kind of frustrating. And now it's like an inside joke for Barry and I where it's like, oh, next week. But it is something where our wealth manager, who's worked in Panama for 20 years, he goes, I've done business with everybody in this group, this contract, because we have these contracts within roughly the same, like loosely connected network. He goes, I've done business with all of these people. All of these people always fulfill their commitments. He goes, but they're all so slow, it's infuriating. So like we have confirmation that there's nothing to worry about other than how long is it going to take. And so we are to that point now where we are confident in what the outcome will be. We're not confident in how long it will be until we reach that outcome. So that's where we are. And so, but again, it's in my opinion, it is worth the wait because the potential revenue of these 4 contracts plus anything that comes down the line afterwards is large enough that it's good for us, period. And it's in a location like this one, in a region like this one, a lot of people say they can do a lot of things. Like, hey, can you do this? Yeah, I can do that. But then when you actually go to do it, they realize, oh, you can't do it. Oh, you're blowing smoke up my rear end and you can't actually accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. And then that's how you lose people. For us, we spent a lot of time and money setting up the infrastructure first. It's in place. It's just like what we did with the token. We set up the company, we built out the token, we did all of that done and ready before we did a pre-sale and we raised any capital because we wanted to prove to the community that the work was done first. And so we did the same thing with the infrastructure that we built out in Panama. We set up all the accounts, we set up all the infrastructure, we paid for all the licensing and fees before we took on any commitments. And now we're taking on commitments and we're ready to work. We're just waiting for the clients to pull the trigger so we can work. And so that is the drawback to being a client-based service. Your clients have more money and more power than you, and you are doing your best to, be of service to them. But what that means is you kind of have to work at their pace and not your own. Because once the client sends capital to us, we work very fast. We'll have whatever they send us completed within 72 hours, and we waited 12, 13 weeks for them to send that money. And so that's kind of just the nature of what we're doing here. So, Sulazaki, I appreciate you being concerned about my health. Yes, I am saying a lot despite being sick. But despite being sick, I wanted to make sure that you guys had some screen time with me between the market being absolute donkey crap and then everything else going on. I want to make sure you guys had a firm understanding of where we're at with the protocol. It's an awkward position, right? It's something where I want to have it done now. It's not. Market's kind of bad. Some people are getting impatient. Totally understandable. Not a lot I can do about it when we're in this precarious situation where the market's down and we're waiting for things to take place. But there's nothing detrimental or threatening to the protocol. Like Barry and I are still here working every day on what we need to work on. There's no pressing matter that is undermining our ability to focus on the task at hand. There's really no there's no immediate threat to the team or the protocol when it comes to its performance. It's just a matter of some people are getting impatient. I get it. Everybody has their own timelines and their own time horizons. And frankly, the market's kind of scary right now, so I don't blame them. So, but for us, focusing on what we can control, this is what we can control. And so we have a half a dozen other revenue opportunities that we're following up on this week while we wait for these 4 contracts. And then we go from there. But other than that, there's no panic from our side. We just we're focusing on what we can control. We riding the market the best we can. I'm watching it go down again. I'm gonna stop looking at that chart while I talk to you guys because that's just depressing. And then we'll go from there. All right. So revenue generation, we kind of gone through different variations of this page. We had it percentages for a while. Last month we had it per month revenue generation. This month we switched it to quarterly. It's all the same information, just presented in different forms. We were just trying to Ian and I were just playing with different ways to present the same information. So revenue generation from CLPs the last 3 full quarters, and then the revenue projection, including client services for the next 2 quarters. We're just kind of playing around with different ways to present the same information, which is we're working on a system where client services revenue is new capital being injected into the protocol, whether it's buybacks and burns, buybacks and rewards. Also would be buybacks and liquidity injections. There is a desire on our side to get to a point where not only are we, say, buying back $1,000 a day in tokens to burn and reward, but we're also, say, injecting $500 to $1,000 a day in new liquidity to beef up the health of the token as well. Because long term, it would I would love to be in a position where the liquidity matched the market cap. Like that would be a long-term kind of utopian objective of mine, is to get it to a point where there is no questions about the the depth of the liquidity for the token. So, but all that comes from our revenue projection. So if we can get to a point where we complete these contracts, we pull in this revenue, we clear out certain line items on the report, we'll be in a position where we can greatly improve the perceived health of the token. So, yeah. Total revenue generations 350,000, which is great for the type of strategies we were running. Token dynamics, everybody loves. Charlie in particular, Charlie NC loves to monitor the percentage of tokens burned against supply, against circulating supply. And so I think we are close. Let me check. We're at 5.7 million tokens burned. So yeah, we're at I think it's 7.5% of the total supply is burned, which is great. NFT contract holds 12.2 million tokens. Circulating supply is 57,000. Consistently dropping well below 60 million circulating supply, which is great. Fund diversification, again, another fun graphic just telling you the different positions that the DeFi fund itself is in. Again, DeFi fund is deflated given the circumstances in the market, the commitment to the client side. Obviously, we're 100% committed to the client side, right? So vast majority of our financials are hedged that way, but those are also the first dollars that are going to be coming back to the protocol. So my ideal situation is let's say we fulfill those 4 contracts, and the first thing we do is like we clear the trading allocation and the client miscellaneous instantly. Like we pull them both back and put them into actual token like positions, because I feel like with the way the market is, like for example, our trading allocation, we've continued to pull from that to the client side when needed, which yeah, that's right. We continue to pull from the client side when needed, just because we don't want to pull from the actual like altcoin positions as like unless absolutely necessary. And so the idea would be is like, let's say we got, I don't know, 600,000 in revenue from those 4 contracts. I don't know the specific number. I'm just guessing. So don't hold me to it. But the first thing we would do is we would repay from the different escrows and stuff that we have those funds in now. We would be able to replenish these numbers in the DeFi fund instead of just on paper, which will be nice, because then we'll pull that money back on chain and have it diversified into assets that we believe will increase in value over the next, say, 6 months. Again, DeFi fund allocations. Client is big, 61%. And again, those are the first things that we will reallocate on chain once we get the revenue. So, DeFi fund operational assets. The big metric here is because the market declined again in the month of August, we're down about 34,000 ish in actual P&L. That's mainly just the market contracting in value from a general sense, Ethereum and Bitcoin in general. So it's about 10% down from the previous month, which is pretty in line with the market overall. Sorry. But again, we are riding the wave right now, and unfortunately we are in the trough of the wave, and we're making our way through it. But again, that's the patience that I spoke about before. Treasury allocation, this is total, about 10%. Yeah, we're about, for total treasury allocation, including all of the operational balances, went from 460 to about 410. Yeah, so a little over 11%. And then protocol metrics, our big ones that we always focus on. We always focus on our backing LP to market cap ratio, or our 9 and 10 LP to circulating market cap ratio, and backing LP to circulating market cap ratio. This has almost always been about 41, 42%, 20, 21%. Very healthy numbers we continue to focus on. The single staking APY has remained within 1 percentage point, 17.7 to 17.1. And the farming APY has remained within 0.1%. So it remains at 41%. So what else? Boring numbers. This is why I need Michael here, so he can go through the boring numbers. Circulating supply. All things considered, circulating supply dropped by 500,000 tokens from last month. We burned another 918,000 tokens, a total of almost 6% of the cumulative supply burned. And we bought back about $10,000 worth of tokens, which was 803 tokens short of 1 million. So how about them apples? And that's about it. I think we have a new graphic on the last page here, Ian. Given the price of everything right now, this graphic must be made ironically. unless you are, what's the one meme where it's to the moon but the moon's below the earth? That one. Maybe that's what Ian meant when he made this one, which I think is funny. But that's the monthly report. We are riding the market, not in a good way, just, in a way, we're riding the market through. Get out of here. Oh, get out of here. Where are we at? Yeah, we're riding the market through this phase right now. August and September. I wish we could defy market patterns, but we can't. We just kind of have to roll with them. That's kind of where we are right now with the protocol. But we're focused on the client side. The client side is where we're going to make all of our money. Client side is where we're going to inject new capital into the protocol. And ultimately, that's how we're going to fulfill not only my obligation to the community and the protocol, but also to build beyond this DeFi zero sum situation that most people find themselves in. But that takes time. And since we are servicing clients, the clients kind of set the time horizons, and we're in that position now where, just to recap, we have 4 committed client contracts. We're just waiting for them to start. And again, we can't push them or they'll get skittish, but they're there. And the potential revenue from them is mid to high 6 figures, which is, essentially our market cap just in those 4 contracts. So long term, I have absolutely no doubts about the potential success of what we're building. It's just a matter of getting to that point. Like we are waiting for these to materialize. We're waiting for these clients to go, okay, we're ready. Money's in the account. Let's go. Because then we can do the job in 72 hours. But it's when they're ready, So we continue to explore other opportunities to bring in revenue in the shorter term. We have 2 meetings that we're following up with this afternoon with business owners in Panama. And so we have ways that we can have smaller chunks of revenue come in the shorter term. It's just a matter of getting to a position where we have the infrastructure in place. Now we need to execute on the infrastructure. But in the meantime, we're waiting out the market just like everybody else. And then we'll continue to take care of you guys the best we can. We're just in an awkward position where um, market's red, and we're waiting for money to come in. My ideal scenario is most of that revenue comes in when the market's at the bottom, because I would love to be able to push almost all of that money into Ethereum and Bitcoin and then see it rise 50, 60, 70% in value. And then all of a sudden we have a multiplier on that revenue, which would be fantastic in my eyes. So, but until then, that's kind of the situation where we're at. It's not great, but it's not terrible. We're just we are in our flow right now, and we're just being patient. And I appreciate everybody else being a patient along with us. It's not always the easiest when it feels like things are bad, but they're not actively getting better. In this market, it can be quite demoralizing. In fact, Crypto Penguin and I were talking the other day about how this specific market never shuts off, and it can get very tiresome. So it takes a certain type of personality, and if you're someone like me, a certain type of sociopath, to have to deal with this for so long. But the one thing I can say is, through the decade plus that I've been in this space, things do eventually get better. It's just a matter of worrying about things you can control, making the most of your circumstances, and try not to make too many decisions based off of emotion, because they're usually wrong. So, but that's it for the monthly report. I'm gonna go take a coma because I have used up all of my energy for today. I appreciate everybody being here. I'm gonna give away $10 in block. Oh, wait, hold on. Before I go, we are doing American football, NFL, pick'em competition. You don't have to know anything about the NFL. All you need to do is pick the winner between two teams listed, and you might win a big chunk of block. Now, there's a 500 block entry fee. All you need to know is the 49ers are the best. Yes, Tris, that is true. But anyways, we're doing it every week this season. The more people that play, the more block you could win. It's super simple. So I strongly suggest you go check out the NFL football chat, join in, have some fun, win some block, take interest in American football. Other than that, I'm going to give away some block, $10 in block. Excuse me. We're going to go with Screwed Up Texas, $10 in block. Viking, $10 in block. And one more. Feldspar, $10 in block. All right. Those three. Screwed Up Texas. Multiple entries. Kirby. I'm not opposed to multiple entries. So yes. Because it's $500 in block per entry. So if you want to do 2 or 3 entries, I'm not opposed to it. And you might win. So 500 block, not $500 in block. 500 blocks, roughly $5. A $5 entry fee. Paid in block, paid out in block. It's just an internal competition. Don't go reporting us to sports gambling websites, okay? It's an internal community competition, friendly little banter, okay? Don't, be careful out there. Anyway, Feldspar, Screwed Up Texas, and Viking. We're going to get you guys $10 in block. I might recommend you use 5 of those in an NFL football competition where you could win more. First place wins the pot. Second place wins their money back. And last place wins their money back. So you don't even have to be good. You could be the worst and get your money back. And then everyone else loses. So don't be in the middle. Either be first or last. Don't be somewhere in the middle. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to me ramble for 55 minutes. I'm going to go try to feel better. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Thank you for attending the monthly report with us. I am quite optimistic about the future of BlockCentral. I know there are times where it can seem a little nothing's happening, not a lot going on, but I promise you there is a lot going on. It's behind the scenes. It's away from Discord. It's away from, I guess, the internet. But we are still 100% focused on turning this into a real, legitimate revenue generating operation. And we appreciate everybody being here and joining us in this process. So, everybody have a great weekend, and then we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.